let me introduce Arjun Sen. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank Tom and Deb and the DaVinci Institute for making this possible. Phil, thank you. Brent, wherever you are, thank you for making this, and Herb. It's amazing and fascinating to see the group of entrepreneurs who are here. From my end, I'm really glad that you cut short my intro, because I really look, when I combine with what each one of you are accomplishing, I'm just doing this very tiny bit. What I'm going to try to share with you today is the core mantra that we in our company use with every possible client. And the mantra is very simply guest experience enhancement. The reason we look at the three words, and let's start from the back, enhancement, because you really have to get better. I was just talking to one of you right there a few minutes back. The best way to position new business is who currently has a dissatisfaction. If you find a dissatisfaction which has a business feasibility for you, attack it right away. Which means, if you want to stay ahead, enhance your business. The second part, which we'll focus a lot, is experience. It's all about the total experience. And finally, it's about guest. As we start looking at guest, the thing that we need to start understanding, what exactly is a guest? I start looking at a guest is not just a customer. A guest is every stakeholder who touches your brand directly or indirectly. Some of you here do not see the end user, but trust me on this. If you want to make $1 million, at the end of the pipeline somewhere, either you need one man or a woman who's willing to spend $1 million with you, or 1 million people willing to spend $1 each with you, or something in between. So we really always need to remember the face of the customer. So as we start looking at, I try to break these stakeholders down by saying, there are the customers, there are different groups of people, investors. All these are people who are touching your brand. But what's amazing is each of these people go ahead and they talk about your brand to others, and that is a conversation you do not control. For example, when you leave today, you will right away tweet your friends by saying what a garbage presentation this was. Yeah. Or you could say, this is amazing. And I do not control that conversation. Each one of you here are my guests, and you will move what you heard here today. Even the simple introductions earlier are all touching this brand. So as we go through, this morning when I was meeting with Herb, we just put it anonymous because we couldn't find the source. What we learned was 80% of what you need to learn in the next 5 years will come from an industry outside. That is the way Herb or smart people say. For me, I'm not that smart. What I say is, find something that works in another industry, steal it legally, apply it in your industry, and then you look outside and say, wow! It's the wow part of it that will give you credit. And as we start looking at it, what we did was just to look at a different set of industries. I tried to get you a breadth of as many different industries I could think and touch. And as you go through this evening, most of you will have a business which is very complicated than all these combined. But the challenge again is, how do you take all these combined learning and make it into a guest experience enhancement? Finally, before I get into the content, I really believe in the 3 to 7 day rule. To me, a 3 to 7 day rule is anywhere, anything you see. In your mind, you want to do something. If you don't do anything in the next 3 to 7 days, you will never, ever do that thing. So what I would request at the end of this meeting, at the end of the panel discussions, to decide what you want to do in the next 3 to 7 days. And one of the things could be as simple as, I'm not going to act on this presentation. That's fine. But I would really request you to document that, because at least that way you bring closure. You know, I just think about, I'm going to start, I have the 24-hour fitnesses voucher. I promise you, I'm going to join one of these days, but it hasn't happened. So that's the 3 to 7 day rule. So as we go through, there are 3 consumer trends that we have looked at in recent times. None of you will be surprised by this. First and foremost, there's an intense competition. The second part is, as always, consumers want to spend less and they want more. In a simple layman's term, let's say, sir, I used to come to you earlier and buy something for $10. Now I come back to you and say, how about 6? You say, Arjun, slap you. Okay. Then I come back again, I'll pay you $10. Will you give me something more? Now, in the process of this thing, Arjun has this light bulb that goes on where I realize, why do I just come to him? If I can negotiate with him and he is not negotiating, which means there's somebody somewhere who is willing to give me more. Which to me means if you are in Vegas, the biggest jackpot that opens for you is all doors are open to you. I've worked a lot in the food industry to realize that I've never will see this kind of a time where Dunkin' Donuts is competing with Starbucks. Would never happen in our lifetime. This again means who you are. For you to build your business, you can look way outside your category because the consumer is open, which means you need to be open. Now we'll play a little game. I want each one of you to start thinking how ridiculous a customer can be. And I'll give you an example. Let's think you work for Hertz. If you work for Hertz, what's the most ridiculous thing, bizarre thing, a guest or a customer can come and ask you and want from you? Anybody? Rent a car for free. Thank you. Next example. Next is pizza. A pizza customer comes and asks you, what does he want or she want? The bizarrest thing. Chauffeur. What's that?
A chauffeur.
A chauffeur. That's fine. Target. The die-hard Target customer, what does he or she want? Valet parking. Great answers. Then the Children's Hospital. If you are a customer of Children's Hospital, what's the most important thing for you? Childcare. Great answer. What we do is we go and we believe in one thing, that the customer always can surprise us. So as we go and start asking, the Hertz customer tells us, get my car ready for me, Arjun. Don't give me $1 off, because what you do not know, my company pays for it. If you got the free car, it doesn't help you, because now you have a challenge on your expense report to put 0. What were you doing there, girl? The second part is pizza. The pizza customer tells us, Arjun, if I'm that important to you on a Friday afternoon when I call you a Friday evening, stop everybody else's, put my pizza in first. Think about it. They don't want $1 off, they can pay for the pizza. The next example is Target. This gets even stranger. Visualize mom with a cell phone on the neck, purse on this side, cart full of groceries or whatever they're getting, and 3 kids hanging. What does that mom want? The moment mom gets close to the counter or the cashier, mom wants you to open a counter just for her. If mom is left-handed, the whole thing's changed. So mom can just sit, and maybe you give a little back massage. That's what mom wants. Children's Hospital. What's amazing is they want service first. How ridiculous is it in this particular country of ours that we go there with the sick children and they want us to pay first? Wow. Why can't you take care of my sick child? Take her somewhere, take care of her. I'll stand here. I promise I'll give you my wallet. I'll pay. But that's what the customer wants. When I was teaching at CU Boulder, and CU Boulder went through the new business school, I was amazed to find two things. When they did their initial business plan, guess which stakeholder was missing? Students. I was like an outsider, I am just one of those hired guns who teach a class. I'm like, where's the student? And I can't even ask loudly because, I don't have these degrees next to me. The second question I asked is, last time I saw the football team football is played by students. Why do students get the worst seats? Why do students get the worst parking? Because we don't listen to these students. So what you're creating in each one of these places, you're creating a dissatisfaction in the mind of the consumer. If somebody solves, they will advance. So what we look at under each one of these is the part of me. Me means recognize me, treat me special, please, and be serious and sincere. Do not fool around with me. And that becomes true in every industry that is there. I'll give you an example. Let's say you come to me, and we are working together on a project. You are a consultant. You want to help Zen Mango. You have given me an hour of free time. Towards the end of 45 minutes, you start looking at your cell phone. I don't feel special anymore. I know you don't love me anymore. I'm serious. You have started taking your love away from me to the next person who is online. What the heck's going on, man? I just thought you were supposed to give me an hour of love. It's bizarre. So as we start taking this beyond, what we normally saw in a booming economy, marketing has 3 steps. Of course, we can call it awareness, we can call it trial, we can call it relationship. It's all about screaming. But what we are feeling is those days are over. Think what TiVo did for us. We are the new TiVo generation. If you scream, I put a duct tape on your face. That's what TiVo has told us. So now you need to build relationships because those days of screaming are over. So anytime we talk about winning big in a down economy, we always come back to guest experience enhancement. And we'll go back and forth between these two words because all of us cannot every time look at a customer and feel he or she is guest. Let's at least talk to him as a customer. Let's enhance him and have a vision that one of these days when you walk into my house, in our home office, I will put the red carpet in because today my house and our business is blessed because you, the customer, is here. It's amazing. That's the mindset change we'll get into. Now, anytime you want to win big, you need to have a vision for winning big. Each one of you can start relating to each of these moments, whether it is Secretariat or Michael Jordan. I have a question for any one of you. What is the secret behind Michael Jordan's success? And the answer cannot be his boxer shorts, okay? Other than that, something else. What is his secret to success? Vision. What else? Perseverance. For 13 years, 85 games a year, this one man played with one motivation. Today, you will come to see me. You have planned all your life to come and see Mr. Jordan. You won't ever get this chance. I cannot let you down. To me, when we started, this is, again, if you have not got this DVD, you can buy it at Target. It's called Jordan on the Max for $5. Amazing, amazing. Free. Anybody can beat that price? I was hoping somebody will say, I'll give you the DVD plus $5. Okay. So what we started looking at was, to me, I realized that that's the part where Mr. Jordan, what he's doing is, there are 2 parts. One is the information, the power of one, but then you flip it into action. Knowing this is not good enough. You have to act on it. And that is wow one more, which means I need to wow you today because you will never come to see me again. Now, at this point of time, what we realized is, in any business you are, you'll see there's information, 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 and data. I would request you to find that one piece of information that makes action inevitable. I'll give you an example. All of us came on Highway 36. Okay? If right now there's two pieces of information, I'm just making it up. If one piece of information that says that it's going to snow again 2 inches in the next 3 hours, good to know. On the other side, if somebody comes in and says, hey, there's construction going on, and Highway 36 is going to close in 15 minutes for the next 7 hours, you guys will run like crazy. Because that is information which made action inevitable. So that's what I think is the very challenge for all of us is this power of one would be that action that will force you to act. So as we start looking at the power of one, I'll take you through an example of pizza. All of us order pizza a lot. And in the pizza industry, you break the customer into light, medium, and heavy user. You start looking at the percentage of distribution of customers, then you look at all these math on percentage of sales. When you start looking at right now, what do you see? We all have been taught that 80% of the sales come from 20% of customers. But today we'll break that rule. Why? Look at this group. When I start looking at this particular group, what I start seeing is the heavy users, these guys are carrying 2 times their load, 2x. But the 3%, they're carrying 16 times your load. Which means, tomorrow, if this was your company, you had to go and give bonuses. You have $100. By the earlier 80-20 rule, you'll take your bonus and give it to these groups. But based on this information, I will find those 3% of the people, hold on to them. I'll even tattoo, I'm seriously, your name here, your name right here, and you are number 1 right here. Forever. I don't want to lose the 3 of you. Because if any one of you leave, I'm dead. That is information which makes action absolutely inevitable. Now, this nearly got me fired when I worked at Papa John's. The CFO, David Flannery, told me, Arjun, this is hoax. Of course, later on, he bought into these numbers. Okay? So as we start going through, let's say you saw these numbers, and you run a pizza place, and every day, or every week, or every month, you have one vision, 5-3-2, which means you'll take 5 light users, 3 medium users, and 2 heavy users, and take it to the next level. If you start doing it, you start seeing the numbers start adding up. All of a sudden, you see you have generated extra $96,000. If you look at an average pizza store, this is 10% increase in sales. I was presenting this at a conference a week back. Somebody stopped me and said, Arjun, this is all good, but when a customer comes in, he or she does not have a tattoo or a sign on that I am the light user. Okay, good point. But my counter is, now that you know every customer can be moved up, why do I care whether he's a heavy, medium, light? No, I play this game. And the game for me is absolutely very simple. I see any person right there, that's my $100 person, I right away look at what can I do to take him to 200, 200, 300, 300, 400, 400, 500. It's a game. It's addictive. Now, this man could be 400, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. And what am I doing? I'm doing my current job for which I'm getting paid, which means you're not adding any more labor. If I work behind the counter there, or I work across in any of these restaurants, or any retail, or anywhere, my current job entitles, which means I'm already paid for, to find every customer and treat him or her to move that up. So it's your job, no extra labor, and he wants to give you that money. What's wrong with this picture? There's something seriously wrong about this. But before I tell you what's wrong about this, can anybody tell me a 10-year value of each of these customers? AOL. How much is the 10-year value of an AOL customer? $5? $2,500. What's the next one? How much is the value of a Starbucks customer? Okay, anybody wants to confess? This is the time. If you have a significant other, please do not raise your hand. How much do you spend at Starbucks over 10 years? maybe 30. So if you start looking at each one of these, the numbers are 3,000, 6,000. These are obscene amount of money. It's just like we buy these small cars from each of these places. Plus, we refer to other people. Now, when you walk to Starbucks, does Starbucks give you the $6,000 service? No. Does that customer service rep at AOL, who's in Turkey or India or some other part of the world, give you $3,000 worth of service? No. Why? It's not that you are not paying. The customer is paying. We don't appreciate this. So these are the 5 reasons, and we'll go through each one of them. The number one reason why this does not work, we are not using it, is we do not know our customers. We absolutely do not. Here are some examples. How many of you have been to Starbucks today? Okay. You two are my test group, rest of you are control groups. I'm going to show you why did you pay $5 for something you know is worth 50 cents. And you felt good about it. Okay? So these are what we call the guest experience enhancements. The moment you walk into Starbucks, what happens? They try to hit your 5 senses. You walk in, aroma. I've come to the right place. It smells of fresh coffee. How brilliant a concept. A coffee place smells of coffee. Arjun has come to the right place. The next thing that I see is I start looking at the brand familiarity, the coffee aroma, then I start seeing people like me. When I start looking at people like me, that's the Starbucks snob appeal. That these are the cool people. I just blend in. You guys are not that cool. I have arrived because Arjun now is hanging out with the cream of society in Arjun's mind. All these guys wear white shirt. Their pants are all, ironed. I just slip in. That's the snob appeal. Now, as I start going through, then I start seeing the specialty displays. I would challenge you, take a red sticker, put it in behind any of the stainless steel equipment at Starbucks. 6 months from now, that equipment will still be there. Starbucks does not sell those things. Those are props in the play. All we know, they may be even glued down there. So you go there and say, wow, $500 worth of coffee maker. Oh my goodness, they must have used it in Star Wars. So now all of a sudden you start feeling it's credible. Then you start seeing coffee beans. You can touch these beans. We had become a society where we forgot coffee comes from coffee beans. I really thought coffee came from a sand shot in golf, where you stand in the golf bins, you have a bad, ugly golf sand shot, and the coffee flows. Or coffee beans fall in some coffee rains. I forgot it's the coffee beans. It's not the coffee ground. Now the fun part happens. This is the magic nobody else has been able to figure out. You start seeing there's the team members and the barista. In a Starbucks, there's a caste system. The cashier is replaceable, my friends. The cashier can be taken from Starbucks to McDonald's to this to a retail store anywhere. So what they do is they separate. The replaceable commodity does not touch the coffee. So you have the barista. The barista stands a little behind. He's a little elevated. So a special person is there to make your product. You don't go to Walgreens and ask the person who is going through your credit card, should I take this medication with twice a day? No. You go back and find the guy who's wearing a white jacket, and then you whisper as if you're bothering this person by saying, sir, would you explain this to me? Wow. Starbucks figured this out. Next, in our day of automation, a lot of you are amazing engineers and technicians. You know that Starbucks can process and get your coffee to you even faster. But why don't they do it? That's the power of pause. Which means he really wants his coffee. I hold back. It's a game. Then I make some sound. They don't have to make that sound, okay? Now this man is saying, Arjun, I'll pay you 6, I'll pay you 7. Finally, as you start looking at, the coffee is delivered to him at an elevated level. Go back to a Starbucks and you'll see this is an elevated table. There's a light that falls on top. There's a star there which says, oh, incredible bill. You are going to today pay $5 for a 50-cent product. Hello. You know, this is like an amazing moment, and Bill takes the product and says, thank you. So think, the challenge behind this whole thing was there were all these small elements, one after another, that have been added. It's not one of these things. And most of us do not notice the elements. But at Starbucks, if you go in and you'll realize that it has a bad aroma day, you don't come back. Who in Starbucks is in charge for aroma? Nobody. Next fascinating thing what we found was, anytime you see an experience element like that, somewhere during the elements, the guest is sitting and deciding whether they are coming back. Think how powerful a concept it is. I am sitting in your office during the time we are working together. With you sitting in front of me, I'm deciding whether I'm going to renew my contract with you. And isn't it criminal that you don't choose to participate in that decision that's happening in your office in front of you? Every time, everywhere, we see this. And that is a huge challenge for us. So as we start looking at, first of all, you need to understand the elements, and I'll just show you the formula behind finding the elements in just a second. But once you find the elements, then you need to realize there are two kinds of customers. One is the butterfly, and the second is the terminator. You're laughing. Just, when I tell you, I will tell you, these are one of the deepest things, my friends, you have heard ever. This is a deep psychological concept. The very fact I don't have a degree, you are laughing at me on this. If I was a shrink, you guys would have taken it very seriously. A butterfly comes into your store. It could be a consulting service. The butterfly comes in and says, hey, your son just got married. Let me see the pictures. What are you doing on Saturday? Maybe we should play some golf. Did you read that article on Wall Street Journal? What are your projections? So this is a person who is flying. There's no destination. What do they want from you? They want you to fly. It's like a dance. Then there's the terminator. The terminator comes in, who goes inside the store by saying, hey, I want this, I want that, I want that report from you. I'm going skiing. I have 30 seconds. Can I have it Friday? That's the terminator. Which means, as we start getting into any business, we all have to become mini shrinks. We have to start looking at that guest by saying, is she a butterfly or is she a terminator? Or is she a butterfly who will turn into a terminator the moment a cell phone comes in? And I need to move with her. So here's the secret formula behind this whole process. The first thing I would ask you is, be a guest to your own business. We were talking to a tax consultant. We said, no. You go and do your taxes with somebody else and find out what the steps are. If you're a consultant, if you're doing a proposal, flip and see what the steps are. Once you know what the steps are, then you try to understand what are the expectations on the other side. Start going back to the target customer. Remember, when she comes in, she does not want a $5 off. I'm sorry. Don't forget the Hertz customer. He does not want a free, because his company is paying for it. It's already free. Now that you have this, then you start looking at, are you at par, below par, or above par? And when you look at, don't look at your direct competition. What else could the customer have done? Where else could he or she spend her money or his money? Then as you start going through it, break it down into the following 4 things. Are these integrated? And I'll give you an example in a second. Are they consistent? Next is, are you measuring them, and is there somebody in charge? you'll realize many a time when you have a break point or a decision point, there's times when nobody is in charge. You go to an experience, you go to a restaurant, the person who takes your order takes the order, says, thank you. Why are you thanking me? I'm not done with you guys. It's just like, think about it. If 6 of us were in a play, Arjun was acting in the first act. The moment I'm done, I just come in and say, I'm done. Clap. No. My role is not done till all of us finish. Maybe as he is, finally on stage, he may need some help, so I need to stand there ready to help him. We are all done as a team when the guest's experience is over. Now, as you start looking at, we are all good at one thing. If you have a $10 product which you serve at an inferior experience, inferior service or an inferior ambiance, it always becomes the lowest common denominator. If any one of us go out, any restaurant, any retail, any experience, we always look at the lowest point. You don't get an average. So what we always suggest is start looking at and work backwards. If you want to have a $7 experience, first define the customer pays me $7, which means everything has to be $7. The food, 7. Bathroom, 7. Toilet paper, 7. Cutlery, 7. The service, 7. The smile, 7. That is the only way you can get to an experience. This part is very passionate to us, is why customers come back. Each one of you, when you go back tonight, I would ask you to take a piece of paper and write down words or phrases on why your customers don't come back. If you have lost a customer, please think why he or she is not coming back. As we go in, we realize the reason it's important to start focusing, you need to focus on 3 things. 1, what is the consequence of leak? Thus far, we have been talking about Starbucks and McDonald's and pizza. Customer goes, what you do? Go back and bribe the customer. $2 off, $5 off, they come back. So the consequences are very small. Most of you are operating in businesses where you lose a customer, you lose the customer for life, maybe his son or daughter won't come back to you. So the stakes are much higher. The second thing you need to also look at is what are the early indicators of a leak? Which means that lady who is there, she's my #1 customer. I just look at her face and I realize that in 3 months, 14 days, she's going to fire me. So instead of at the end of 3 months, 14 days, when she tells me, Arjun, I don't like you because all these days you abused me. You never treated me special. You always looked at your text messages. Instead, if I can get an early indicator, that would really help us. So that's what all leaky bucket is, to start finding what the leak life cycle is, find the early indicator, and let the consequence be the information that drives you. My love for you vanished for a second when my cell phone, which is timing, it said 10% battery left. I simply apologize for that. Okay? Which also tells me we need to move. So the next reason is unit level breakdown. This to me is a very simple thing. Any one of you who have a child can figure this part out, and you see this every day. On the unit level breakdown is very simple. The customer's point of view does not match the employee's point of view. Let's see what happens at Starbucks. I'm at that drive-through. How many times will I go to Starbucks on a given day? I confess once only. Okay, I promise I don't go there more than once. I go there once. All I want is 1 cup of coffee. I just want 1 smile. And please make this 1 moment of mine today memorable. That's all I want. And I'm paying you $3. I'm paying you the $3,000 or $6,000. I'm just paying you $3 installments. But what do I get? On the other side, what I get, an employee who's trying to look at and looking at me and saying, wow, he's there, he's behind. That guy doesn't look like a nice person. Okay, he's going to have a complicated order. Huh. She has a piece of paper, which means it's, instead of serving this particular man, I'm starting to worry about all these guys. And what does he get? He does not get his $3 worth of service. He does not get the $3 worth of attention. So I create a dissatisfaction right here, which means I'm just opening this man up by saying, you are in free air. Anybody outside want to take him and steal him from me? Take him. I am starting this process. The next area is marketing and operations does not sync. Anywhere we look at marketing and operations, we start seeing that marketing is like an offense. On the other side, defense is operations. I just ask you guys a question. Let's say this side of the room, you guys are die-hard marketing people. Okay? You only think marketing, marketing, and marketing. And this side is operations. All you think is operations. Okay? This is a pizza delivery guy. His performance appraisal is going to happen today. All my marketing folks, how will you judge this man? Marketing. Upsell. Yes. Come on. He wants his more. He's friendly. Good pizza. Okay. My operations team. Forget marketing. Efficiency. What is efficiency, my friend?
How many, how fast?
How many, how fast? What else? Sloppy. Anything else?
Cold.
What?
Cold. Cold pizza.
Cold pizzas. So, cost. All of a sudden you start seeing that the same guy who's a messenger for the brand, which means that's the only person live who will interact with you, is judged by two people totally differently. That man wants me to deliver 5 pizzas. You want me to deliver 1 pizza. That man wants my pizza to be, I don't care, at a moderate temperature, and you want it to be warm. You want me to smile? He says, take your tips and run, Arjun. So all of a sudden you start seeing we have this conflict. When you have this conflict, as we go forward, we start seeing that marketing and the big difference between operations is effectiveness and efficiency. You all want to be effective, but they want to be efficient. So what do I do? And that is the place where we started thinking about this concept called marporations. Marporations is a happy world where the customer wins. The customer says, I don't care about you, I don't care about you, I decide what I want. And as we go forward, that becomes a critical element for us. For me, marporations again is like a basketball court where that could be my offensive star and he says, Arjun, today I feel hot, man. I'm shooting 68%. I'm like, good. That's my defense side. I have 8 steals already. We look up. The scoreboard says the other team has scored more points, which means you're a loser, you're a loser. That's what marporation says. Marketing can win, operations can win, but doesn't matter. We all lose when the customer says you're a loser. The next area is, especially in today's economy, we find people are stopping at failures. So many of my clients are not making mistakes because they don't try anything. A good day for them is, Arjun, I didn't get fired this week. Great, so I'll be playing golf this week because I know this week if we play golf, he's going to pay for himself. Next week I have to buy golf and hot dog till he finds a job. So as we start looking into this, we want to focus on how and why failure is very important. Earlier I showed you all these pictures of these amazing stars. Each one of these personalities have a moment of major failure. But they don't stop there. One of the persons we'll focus again is Michael Jordan. This man has the world record for the most number of game-winning shots missed. When Michael Jordan started his career, he was known as the laziest defender ever. So now think. You have this guy right here. I've been picking on both of you, so you guys are awesome. So that's Michael Jordan sitting there. His resume is most number of game-winning shots missed, and the first 7 years of his career, he was the world's worst defensive player. So how did Michael Jordan write his finish line? Utah Jazz versus Chicago Bulls. Jazz is up by 1. Karl Malone has the ball. 20 seconds left. It's not that bad a situation. All you need to do is Karl Malone, the world's strongest man, 4% body fat, holds on to this ball, and Utah wins. Think for a second. The man took his biggest weaknesses and defined himself. So if you start looking at basketball as a game, neighborhood basketball, some of us play that, then college, then professional, then NBA, then super NBA. Then there's this super game above that, which is about game-winning shots missed. This is a man who alone wrote the record books because he made the most number of shots, he missed the most, and made the most. Amazing. When we start taking this into our businesses, this is what we personally will start feeling. We feel, as you start taking this, your failure has to be bigger than other people's success. Which means, on a given day when we are playing golf, you are having a bad day, you shoot 84. Arjun's having a great day, I shoot 86. If you can have that, that becomes an amazing mantra. So which means, let's say, on some business parameter where 100 is great, you're supposed to operate at 100%, your acceptance range stops at 88, and your competition at most can get to 79. You have guaranteed your win. All of a sudden, you start looking like Mr. Jordan when you have 7, 6 rings on your hand. How does he do that? That's exactly. You start with power of 1, you finish right here, and that becomes the amazing combination. The last concept is no customer experience mantra. This, I would challenge you that it's very relevant to each one of us. We love to sit in our offices and write a lot of stuff. And I'll show you. These are all the stuff that we see. I just collected from, all these places. So all these brands have this amazing amount of text, like Walgreens Creed. What is Creed, my friend? Especially when you're supposed to talk to this particular person who is going to be your friend. He looks at it as a Creed. I had a friend named Creed who always failed in math. It doesn't work. On the other side, if you can take all these things and translate into something which becomes very, very simple, which nobody forgets. Take a classic icon. For example, Julia Roberts. The famous scene from Pretty Woman. By the way, we do not solicit prostitution here. Okay, I just said that now. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere has just negotiated $2,000, $4,000, they agreed on $3,000. And finally, when Richard Gere is leaving, Julia Roberts makes this classic statement, which is, baby, I'm going to treat you so nice that you're never going to let me go. Take this statement away from Julia Roberts and start thinking the next time your customer is sitting in front of you. How valuable is this? This man today is giving me $500, but I just realized he can give me $50,000 or $10,000. He also is going to sit here in front of me and decide. And I know this right now. Why don't I jump and just say, please, what can I do? Can I do the Starbucks treatment? Can I do the Target treatment? Can I do anything else? That is the mantra that nobody ever forgets. If I meet you 3 years, 5 years, 6 years down the road, rest of the presentation you'll forget, but you will not forget that I showed you a picture of Julia Roberts today with that classic statement. And especially if you're a man, that's it. So the 4 places, again, to focus on are customer vision, guest experience enhancement, operations, wowing one more, leaky bucket. All these are straight, all these are great, but at the same time, do not forget the 3 to 7 day rules, which means I would request you to think in your mind what, if anything, maybe nothing, that you'll decide to do in the next 3 to 7 days based on this presentation and the great panel that's coming after this. Thank you.